All right, well, we have 5:30, so we'll start the Selectmen's meeting April the 4th at 5:30. Just want to make it clear that the executive session that we had scheduled has been withdrawn. We'll pick it up another time. And I might also say that we could consider putting the Town of Mahague landing matter under old business as item C, since that is not on the agenda. We can have a brief report on that.
I'll make a motion to add Town of Mahague landing to old business letter C.
Okay.
Second.
Moved and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Okay, the first item is to, actually, I think I'll do the mute I'll leave it up because we'll be doing that pretty shortly. The minutes of the 7th of March, we can consider those minutes, the regular meeting.
Do we want to do changes first, or do you want a motion and then we'll do changes?
I guess let's do the motion and then we'll do any changes.
Okay, I move to accept the minutes of the March 7th, 2022 Board of Selectmen meeting minutes.
I'll second it.
Okay. All right, you had some comments on it?
I've got some additions, I think, and Suzanne, I will give you these in writing as well. But under public comments, Ron from Hawks Nest Beach, I believe his last name is Bianca, B-I-A-N-C-A.
Yeah.
C. That's it. Yeah. B.
You have it on there?
And under C, Human Resources, the name of the company that Michelle recommended is Cardis Larson. It's all one word. I've got it for you, and I'll give it to you. Under communications, we need to correct the spelling of Ian Neviser's last name. Another one I had was under letter E. We were talking about appointments. You have in red cited the ordinance, and I have the town says 101-15, and the Ethics Commission, we're going to add that it's a 2-year term period. And that was the only thing I had.
If the people on the phone could please mute, please. We're hearing a lot of hammering in the background.
Motion to accept the amended minutes? No.
Well, we can, it's been moved and seconded, but I guess we could have these with the amendments. We modify it by approving the amendments.
So I can amend my motion to include the changes noted. That can...
Okay, moved and seconded with the amendments. All in favor?
Aye.
Very good. The next minutes are the special meeting minutes of the 11th of March. This is concerned the standing allowance and the McCulloch agenda items.
I'll make a motion to accept the March 11, 2022 special meeting for the Board of Selectmen.
I will second.
Okay, moved and seconded. Any comments on those minutes?
I have none.
All right, hearing none, we will vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, thank you. And finally, we have the special minutes of the 25th, having to do with certain wage increases and the Mira CWPM proposal, and then the BSC proposals.
I'll make a motion to accept the minutes of the special meeting for the Board of Selectmen on March 25th, 2022.
Second.
Okay, moved and seconded. Any discussion on that? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Good. Okay, so we'll open it up to public comment. What we'll do is we'll go on the telephone first. Anyone who cares to make public comment on the phone? No public comment from the people on the phone. All right, then we will proceed to public comment for those in the room. I'm going to I don't know what that was. Anyone wishing to make public comment in the room?
Yes, I do.
Okay.
Should I just stand here?
Sure.
Okay.
Matt, you can swing your mic so we can...
All right. This or whatever.
Yeah, is that your mic?
Okay, all right. So I'm here about the Tanamaheag Landing.
Your name, I'm sorry.
Oh, sorry, Linda Acabellis, 57 Colt. The Tanamaheag Landing dispute began shortly after the new owners of 12 Tanamaheag purchased their home on September 25th, 2020. It started with the removal of the Tanamaheag Landing sign at the entryway to the public landing. Direct requests by town officials and the owners of 12 Tanamaheag, direct requests by town officials to the owners of 12 Tanamaheag to replace the sign have been disregarded. Since then, bushes have been planted obstructing public parking spaces. The pre-existing barn has been restored into what appears to be a livable residence. A stone wall has been built, said to be bearing a mirrorstone. A tree and several branches have been cut down, all on and around the town's property. The owners of 12 Tanamaheag have told and or had their contractor tell local residents as they visited the town property that they cannot access the landing because it is their private property. My neighbors and I have repeatedly shared with you our deep concerns during Board of Selectmen meetings and in writing regarding the behaviors of the new owners of 12 Tanamaheag. We have asked, what will you do to require them to cease and desist their inappropriate actions on public property? In fact, we met with you and the town's attorney over 3 weeks ago on a Saturday. We spent nearly 2 hours sharing our concerns. And no, we will not make a concession allowing the owners of 12 Tanamaheag to continue to take over the town's property. This issue was not on today's agenda until the meeting began, and there has not been a special board meeting to discuss the outcome of the neighborhood meeting, and it's not on today's executive meeting agenda either. As we wait for the action of the board, time keeps moving forward. And as elected officials seemingly sit idle, the current homeowners appear to be increasingly empowered, as though they are the owners of what has been known to Old Lyme and our immediate neighborhood as Town Landing. What has been utilized by taxpayers of Old Lyme for decades as an accessible spot for launching a kayak or just peacefully enjoying nature is rapidly losing its tranquility due to the experiences of the homeowners denying people who have lived here for years access to town property. Clearly, the current homeowners perceive a lack of action by elected officials as passive permission to do with the property what they will. Frankly, so do I. I will leave you with this final question. Why is the town acting in favor of allowing the residents of 12 Tanamaheag to unlawfully take over our town property? Thank you.
Thank you.
Anyone else wish to speak? Very good. Okay, thank you. Next item, it has to do with Soundview parking issues. Frank Papalardo will comment on that, but I think they're broken down into 4 segments: the parking fees in the town lot and on the street, the fee for permitted parking lots, both to operate in a public fashion and to operate under a single lease, and to approve the permitted lot application form, plus the discussion on the kiosk. So,
Thank you very much. The Soundview Operations Advisory Committee has been meeting weekly for the last 4 or 5 weeks. We meet on Wednesday mornings at 9 a.m. They are open meetings, and the agendas are posted on the town website. We have been talking about a variety of things operationally regarding Soundview, mostly through recommendations of the Soundview Commission, and this is advisory committees putting into action some of the recommendations of the Soundview Commission. So one of the first things we talked about was a discussion of the town lot and the street parking rates. We did discuss the operational expenses for Soundview and a portion of Miami Beach, since Miami Beach does have the public access, and they do have a tremendous amount of expenses that are caused by the Soundview guests that come down on the weekends and during the weeks. So we agreed that the committee agreed to increase the parking rates on Saturday, Sunday, and holidays on the town lot and the street parking to $12. That's per 2-hour block of time. And on weekdays to $9 per 2-hour block of time. That's a roughly 20% plus or minus increase. We try to round it off. So that's roughly 20%. We're still well within the range of surrounding towns and significantly lower than other towns as far as parking rates are concerned in public parking areas. The next item we discussed was the permitted parking lots. We have several permanent parking lots in the Soundview area. Soundview does have... Is there somebody there?
Would you please not speak on the phone or mute yourself?
Soundview does have permitted parking lots. They are permitted by the town of Old Lyme through the Selectmen's office. There's 7 lots, and they encompass roughly 177 permitted spaces in the Soundview area. The permitted parking lots apply for a permit yearly, and as doing so, they have to submit certain things that they wish, and there's a fee that goes along. And the fee is based on a per parking space. One of the things we did do is we did a cost analysis of the operational costs of Soundview, and went through a variety of iterations. But the town lot, we added up the number of spaces there. The private lots added the number of spaces there, and the private houses in Soundview and Miami Beach, and added those up, totaled all those up, and multiplied times 3. State standard per vehicle in the public town, in the state beaches involved, they use 3 persons per space. So we use 3 persons per space in Old Lyme, and also 3 persons per household. Now it's plus or minus. We all know that some houses have 2 people, and some houses have 6. But to make it consistent, we use 3 persons. We then did a statistical analysis based on percentage of what each of those persons contribute as far as cost to the operation expenses of Soundview and of course from Miami. Came up that the private parking lots contribute roughly 20% of the cost burden to the area. Then did a division of what the expenses were. We actually came up that the cost per parking space in a private lot should be somewhere around $145 per parking space for the permit fees. We felt in the committee that was a little bit too much of a jump, so we agreed that $85 this year would be a reasonable compromise from our standpoint and charge permitted parking lots a cost of $85 per space for their summer permit. In addition, we'll talk about the actual permitting process in a moment. So like I said, the private parking lot, permitted parking spaces would be $85 for their cost for their permit this year. The approved permit application, I've got fresh copies here if anybody needs them. For the permitted parking lot, does include some new information that had not been asked for in the past, such as the days that the parking lots are open and the times they're open and the times they're closed, roughly how many hours per day. The name of the applicant or the operator, because sometimes the applicant and the operator are different than the property owner, so we're asking for the name of the applicant and the property owner. Name of the property owner, if it's different from the applicant. And we are stipulating in the permit itself that all parking lots are regulated in accordance with Town of Old zoning regulations and ordinances, including but not limited to Chapters 161-8 through 161-12 attached. In addition, the following regulations apply per order of Selectmen. Hours of operation posted, consumption of alcohol prohibited on the property, trash receptacles available on site, and all lots are to be kept clean of debris, including any surrounding properties as a result of parking patrons. We have had some concerns and some problems in the past where patrons were overstaying their welcome and creating a debris situation in addition to consumption of alcohol in those parking spaces. So we did put that as part of the stipulation for the parking permit. Also, the operators must supply with the application a copy of the Connecticut Sales and Use Tax Permit. Parking is a taxable item, Connecticut State Sales Tax item, and one of the things we discussed was the fact that the parking lots are businesses, and the town is permitting these businesses to exist, and therefore the town should ensure that the proper sales tax is being reported and the parking lot operators do have a sales tax permit number. Now, we're not going to go back and check to see what they're reporting. That's between them and the state, but we do want to make sure that they do have a valid Connecticut sales and use tax permit. And we also are requiring proof of insurance as a commercial parking lot. Most of these parking lots are in residential areas, big side yard, household. So we're asking for proof of insurance as a commercial lot. That could take a couple of forms, either as a certificate of insurance or a letter from their insurance agent or broker with a policy number and effective dates stating that it's a part of it is used as a commercial lot. The permit also goes on to say, I have read, understand, and agree to comply with requirements for issuing and operation of this permit and signature of the applicant. And the date. $85 for some people might be a little bit of a stretch for an initial payment, so we did opt to make that payment in two different payments. So the first payment would be 50%, and that would be with their application, and the second payment would be due on July 15th of this year. So it gives them a little time to collect some money over the course of the time. The parking lots would be inspected to make sure that they comply with the zoning ordinances that exist. There is a zoning ordinance regarding those permitted lots, and as I said, it was 161-8 to 161-12. The inspector would have to inspect it, make sure it's okay, and then would report back to the selectmen as approved or disapproved. I did receive word from our town attorney today that this form is legally satisfactory. So there are no issues with the application. I just got it as I was walking in the door. So that's legally acceptable to the town attorney.
So Frank, who is going to be the inspector? Or are there various people that will be the inspectors?
I think that's the next discussion we'll need to have in an operations committee.
Okay.
But typically the police and rangers have gone through and inspected to make sure that the lots are lined and that there are, the number of spaces are listed on their signage, and that the permit number is listed. We can discuss that. It could be, one of our public safety people, maybe somebody from zoning, or Selectmen's designee, I guess would be the best way to put it.
Yeah.
That would be the typical approach. Kiosks. I had a discussion today with a resident trooper. We are working on the kiosk situation. The software for our existing kiosks will no longer be supported, and we're looking at a couple of different options in terms of how to adequately utilize those kiosks so that people can go and pay for their parking with a credit card. Right now I'm looking for the original design specifications on the kiosks, which I was part of several years ago when we bought them. And hopefully in the next day or two, Matt Weber and I will get together and get him that information so that we can kind of look at what the other options might be available. We'll have a further discussion on that on Wednesday, because hopefully we'll have some more information by Wednesday. So that's what I have to report.
Right, and I guess there's a provision that if a lot is leased to one user, might be a break in that fee for the permit. Right?
Yeah, in the regulations and also in our discussion, we have had we've had at least one situation arise where one parking lot, or maybe multiple parking lots, would be leased for the exclusive use of one business. So if one business wanted to lease that parking lot for parking for their patrons, they would be able to lease that parking lot for their exclusive use. In doing so, there would be a slight reduction in the cost per permitted space. The rationale is that the burden on monitoring those exclusive use lots would be actually shifted partially to the exclusive use or the leasee. So we discussed a 50% cost. So in lieu of $85, it would be $42.50 per parking space for leased lots. There would be a situation where if somebody's going to lease a lot, it would be the entire lot, not a partial portion of the lot, because that would be very difficult to monitor and to keep track of. So it's either you lease the whole lot or you don't lease the lot. The couple of the stipulations we talked about regarding lease lots were that if a business leases a lot for the exclusive use of their patrons, they cannot charge their patrons any fee for that parking. And we'll discuss them further, but the other issues would be that the lot can't be open any more than 1 hour prior to the business opening or 1 hour past the business closing. That'll give the workers, if they're working their opportunity to get open and close and so on and so forth. We'll be discussing the leased lot application form and the stipulations more fully on Wednesday, and hopefully agreeing to finalize that permit application.
So you're stating that they won't be charging their workers either for parking?
That is what our decision in the meeting has been, that they cannot charge anybody anything for parking those lots. Okay. So it can't be a surcharge on their meal bill or on their bar tab or anything else, or their workers or anything of that nature. Once they start charging anybody for utilizing that lot, they no longer an exclusive use lot for the benefit of the patrons of the business. They are now a permitted parking lot for the public, in which case their fee goes up to $85, and they would have to reapply as a permitted parking lot for the public.
Very good. So you're having weekly meetings, and so I guess in terms of finalizing this application, that'll be important because it's month of April, I think, is when these permits are sent out and so forth. So
this application has been agreed to amongst in the meeting. The leased lot application is Wednesday to discuss it.
Right.
The public permitted application we've agreed to as being, and as I said, I got an email from our town attorney not more than a half hour ago that said that this application is legally satisfactory.
Okay, so inasmuch as fees come under the purview of the Board of Selectmen, I think it would be appropriate that we would approve the fee structure of $12 an hour for 2-hour segments on Saturday, Sunday, and holidays, $9 during the week for 2 hours during the weekdays. Then the permitted lots, there'd be an $85 annual fee per parking space for the permitted lots that are used by the public, and if a lot is leased to one user, commercial user, it would be half that. And that the form which has been blessed by the attorney, I don't know if we specifically have to approve that, but just we can be aware that application looks good, and there'd be one for the 85 and one for the 4250.
There's a different form for the 4250.
Yeah.
Lease lot. So there's one other thing that I didn't mention, which I should mention, because it's really a salient point, is that one of the things we did agree upon was the number of town parking pass spaces that are presently reserved in the town would go up from 7 to 15. We've had many concerns of residents in Old Lyme which have parking pass. They do want to come down to Soundview and either enjoy the beach or enjoy one of the restaurants or the carousel, and they can't find a parking space. So we agreed that we would increase the to 15 town for this coming year. And we'll evaluate that as the summer goes on and may be increased even further in future years.
Okay, so do we want to make that motion?
You kind of did, so can I say so moved?
Second.
Okay. Any further discussion on it?
The only thing I would like to say is that I know that we've put that your committee, which Tim, Matt, and I are all ex officio members of, has collected a lot of data, and I would just hope that going forward that the parking lot owners also and businesses would also collect data this year and help to provide that to us next year as we move forward if we this again.
Certainly be helpful. The more data we can collect, the more accurate numbers we can collect, the better off we all are.
All right. Very good. Any other discussion? If not, all in favor of the motion?
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Next item is a communication, a letter to the President and CEO, Tom Kirk, of Materials Innovation and Recycling Authority. This is the firm that processes the town's municipal solid waste and recycling, based in Rocky Hill, but they have been doing this service for 25 years, both as MIRA and Connecticut Resource Recovery Authority before that. We've heard that MIRA will likely be closing the facility, the trash to energy plant in the South Meadows in Hartford, which would cause that. It used to be around 700,000 tons of refuse to be dealt with in other ways, which is not easy because the other locations in Connecticut that could accept municipal solid waste could not handle that. So the contemplation is that MIRA will be having to ship out of state, and perhaps other vendors will need to do the same thing. which is not a great solution for municipal solid waste. So MIRA provided an option for towns that have 5 years remaining in their contract, and it would be that the tip fee going to Hartford, not including collecting it locally, but from the Essex transfer station to Hartford, would initially, they said, be $116 a ton. I think it's up from 110 was the current rate. And then they projected what fees would be going into the future, and it got up into the 140 range, a little over 140. So that cost scenario obviously looked to be pretty expensive for us, and even that cost structure relied on using reserves that the company has to help support the rate. Anytime you're using reserves in a big way to support operations, it's not a good situation, but they knew that to try to attract business, they had to do something. So the plant is not 100% sure to close in July of this year, but it hasn't been well maintained. Everybody's figured that it would probably not be operating, so they haven't been doing a lot of maintenance. So it could fail sooner than that, or it could go longer. It's hard to say. We were approached by the vendor who collects our MSW and our recycling, and they offered to give us a 5-year deal with fixed pricing, and our trucks, instead of going to Essex, would need to go to New London, to their facility, more or less in the vicinity of the base of the bridge there. They would move it over to one of the trash to energy plants in Preston or Lisbon. So, but their pricing was $90 for the first year, and it would increase $1.50 each year for 5 years. The however is that instead, right now, MIRA does not charge us for processing recycling, so that we would, under the CWPM, we would be paying to dispose of recycling. They would price that based on the quality of the recycling, so elements that figure into that would be if the bottles and cans and so forth are relatively clean, and that people wouldn't put the wrong stuff into the bin. And what's particularly troublesome is that people put their recycling in a kitchen bag or a lawn bag and dump that into the green can. That almost is certain to reject that load. So we need to continue our education and get people to do the right thing, because if we have substandard quality recycling, it'll cost us more. When I was talking with the people there, we calculated it to be about a $40 per ton fee, but when you put that along with the $90, it's still under MIRA, not by a whole lot the first year, but as the years go out, it becomes more significant. So coupled with the economic, coupled with the uncertainty as to MIRA's future, it just seemed like it would be wise for Oline to make a deal now. Other towns, I am sure, will be leaving MIRA. They need to let MIRA know this month. I think it's the 11th. So we've made the decision to exit our agreement, which can be done at this time of the year, And so I wrote Mr. Kirk a letter informing him that the town of Oline would be exiting its Tier 1 long-term municipal solid waste management services agreement with Materials Innovation and Recycling Authority effective the 1st of July 2022. So I gave him some of the rationale in the letter, and that's been so we will be working with NERA they're familiar with our routes. They collect our stuff day in and day out, so it won't be a big change. And they own the trucks, and they do everything on our behalf, so it should be seamless to all the residents. And but we do want to stress that the quality of the recycling is an important factor. We don't want to have a high rejection rate. So that's the communication. I don't know why this doesn't mute. But okay. The next has to do with appointments. And we've had some changes in harbor management. The recommendation is that we move Thomas Kelo from an alternate member to a regular member to fill a vacant 4-year term ending January of 24. And to fill that position, the recommendation is for David Acosta to fill the alternate 4-year term ending January of 25. So that's the first pair to be dealt with.
So I would like to move to appoint David Acosta to the vacant alternate. Well, I better do it the other way around. I would like to appoint Mr. Thomas Kelo to the vacancy on the Harbor Management Commission for a term that would end January 31st, 2024, and also appoint David Acosta to the vacant position, vacant alternate spot for a 3-year term as well.
A 4-year term ending January.
Oh, sorry, 4-year term.
Yep.
4-year term ending January 25.
Second it.
Okay. Any discussion on that? If not, all in favor?
Right.
Aye.
All right. Thank you. The next is a member to join the Limes Senior Center Building Committee, not the Senior Center Board, but the Building Committee. And it's been recommended that Richard Goulding be appointed to that. Because it's a building committee, it does not have a specific term, but Rich Goulding is a physician, and he's been involved. He's been on the Board of Education for 8 years, and he's a volunteer coach, and so he's eager to be on this building committee.
I'll make a motion to appoint Richard Goulding to the Lyme Senior Center Building Committee with no specific term.
Second.
Okay, any other discussion on that? All in favor?
Aye.
The next is the... And before you get into that, just, Martha and I discussed, do we want to table that?
The next one?
Meeting, just till we have a chance to sit down and discuss. There's a lot of people who haven't had a chance to just go over and maybe introduce ourselves to. So if we could, I'll make a motion to table the Shoreline Gateway Committee appointments to next either special meeting or regular selectmen meeting.
I'll second that.
Okay.
And I would just like to add for discussion purposes that for those people who have applied, we will be getting in touch with you. Matt or I, both of us, will be reaching out.
We appreciate them applying. We just want to go through it and be thorough and...
Right, yeah. Very good. All right. Now we turn to old business, the Halls Road Improvement Based on our action at the town meeting, the $45,000 to do work on those various things has been approved, so I signed 3 BSC group proposals to start the application for the Lot 5 grant, the easement, and some zoning overlay work. That's been signed and sent back, so we'll wait for things to happen there. The Soundview sidewalk, the work will resume on the bus shelter and some of the activity around that mid-April, and that work should be completed hopefully by Memorial Day. That's a fair statement. Memorial Day. Yeah. The Soundview Sewers, I know that some of the beach representatives and our WPC are working hard to identify some federal funds, federal grants that might come to play here. I think we've heard that 2 different rounds of bids came in at quite high, and I think the beaches have certain approvals, as well as the town of Old-Lyme, and we're just concerned that trying to do it with the monies that have been approved will likely not work very well. So there's with all the various funds that are floating around, we're hoping that we can line up for the 3 private beaches and for the town of Old-Lyme, Soundview, that we can get some help to make that work. So that's sort of a holding pattern.
Tim, can I ask a question about that?
Yeah.
We had gotten a letter from the State Department of Transportation about paving one.
Yes.
And were you able to write back to them and ask them to hold off, or?
Well, what they asked about is whether they might put some centerline rumble strips in certain parts of Shore Road, 156, and sort of straightaways.
Yep.
So I wrote back to the representative and said, tell me how many accidents have been related to people going over the center line and crashing or whatever. And it came back that there were quite a few, apparently. So I don't think that person was one who would be able to hold back the work on repaving. But I did tell Rich Prendergast that this letter indicated that they hoped to do the repaving this year, which would probably be up till November, because there have been people talking with DOT from one of the beaches trying to say the road needs to wait so we can get our force main put in before they repave, because that would really add a lot of money to the whole thing if we had to dig it up and repave it. And I think when you go down past Point of Woods, you see the effects of going in and digging up the road, and it, once the road's paved and you cut it up, it's never the same. So I don't know the status of the negotiations, because it seemed as if everyone was going to be patient. So I'm just hoping this person who's working on rumble strips is focused on a very small aspect of it, and it can wait for another year. But
well, I think we should reach out by letter in response to that one.
I'll see who's got
maybe
new information.
Talk to Devin and Paul.
Yeah.
And explain that we need
a
little bit of time.
Because it seemed like they were okay with waiting, but of course waiting is not a defined term. So unfortunately, if we could even get that force main installed and wait on the rest of it, but I don't know if it could be done piecemeal like that, but yeah, that would be unfortunate. Let's see. Ferry Road. There's a meeting coming up at the end of the week with the committee. The tree warden has met with people who have larger trees that are subject to removal if everything goes according to plan. And so he's pretty much concluded what he will recommend in a way of marking the trees. And so the meeting, which will be Friday, will more or less conclude that. Then he can post the trees, and then we can have the public hearing, public information meeting within the time frame that he has to operate and get people's comments. We've had extensive discussions with the butters, but we haven't had a community meeting about it. So I think that will be an important thing. The question of even which side of the road the sidewalk should be on hasn't been 100% decided on. I think it seems logical that it would be on the north side, the side that it is on, but we haven't made, the committee has not made the recommendation to the Board of Selectmen. So I think after the hearing information meeting, then I think the committee can have a recommendation sent to the Board of Selectmen, and then the thought being that if things go according to plan, then the work can begin after Labor Day. Hopefully.
So your meeting is on Friday at what time?
5.
Friday night? Friday night, huh?
Yeah, that's when the tree warden's available.
Okay.
Swan Brook, the outlet, the application for the certificate of permission has been delivered to Hartford. It's they've seen this at least twice before. There have been, I'm sure, 2 times that wooden crib structure has been fixed up. I think, given the terrible state of repair, we need to get that fixed up. There were conversations about different things that could be done there, but anytime you deviate from what's there, that would require to require the town to get a permit for the work. And the certificate of permission is about a 90-day at most process. The new permit could take 18 months or so. So I think that the state of it is so, well, it's hazardous to swimmers, and it's just very ugly. So if we can get the thing fixed up, then we'd have the luxury of time to evaluate other things. I think Miami Beach is contemplating some stormwater drainage improvements, which may figure into how Swan Brook functions. So there have been suggestions of different ways to get the water from the brook to the Long Island Sound. So, but I think we don't have the luxury of time to wait any longer. And the Board of Finance, actually I think, well, the Board of Finance, we were talking about perhaps the ARP money might play a role here. But it's just very important that we get this project fixed as soon as possible before the swimmers get there. The next item is the American Recovery Plan itself, and things have been busy.
They've been very busy. We've, last week on Friday, both of our grants, our Economic Recovery Grant and our Community Initiative Grant, both went live. They were on the website, and we encourage our residents, nonprofits, businesses to apply. We're hoping that we'll see a great deal of initiative coming forward, and that's about it. But we'll have another meeting on Wednesday at 12 noon.
And I guess just a little longer range, probably there'll be a recommendation by the committee about pools of money that we might create and get the town meeting to approve that.
That's a good question. We were going to ask if you wanted to pop in on Wednesday, but based on what we find out from the economic recovery, how many people, businesses, nonprofits apply, that is the maximum they could receive was $10,000 on that. And that is from March 3rd of 2021 to present time. So it's not actually during the original COVID shutdown, but it's the last year, what we've been going through. So we, as Board of Selectmen, do we want to take it as a pocket of money and say, okay, the grants come up to, and I'm just going to run a number, let's say it's $150,000, and then say the community initiatives may run $750,000 or whatever, and do we want to just go to town meeting as saying we're going to do $150,000 in economic recovery, $750,000 in community initiative, and then our plan for the rest of the money going forward? Is that what you want to do, or do you want to? I don't think you want to really sit there and list every
No, not each
grant.
thing.
Well, you could just say that, this is helping 25 businesses or whatever. I think that's a cleaner approach.
Okay.
Yeah, because I think if we have the townspeople approve general amounts, it wouldn't have to just be two. It could be different. Originally there was quite a few different things that might be eligible. Then the details could be left to the Selectmen and the Board of Finance, and not approve onesie-twosies.
Right. We'd rather go one time.
Yes.
I don't know whether two is too few. I don't know, because are you thinking of like...
No,
I think there's 4 categories.
there are, actually, we broke it down to the 11.
Oh, you did?
I mean,
Yeah, I think
we did.
that'd be good.
So it'll be, the economic recovery grant would just be one pocket, but then the community initiative...
That's this stuff?
Yes. George Krivda is handling that.
Yeah.
And I know we have already had our first application for that. And then the community initiative grant, which any town department can apply, any nonprofit, anyone who has a community initiative that will help, and even the Selectmen, we can apply for a community initiative. And that covers the 11 sections from infrastructure, broadband, mental health awareness, or education, anything that will make us whole from the pandemic.
But the sum of those two would be the 2.1 million?
Yes.
And you're thinking the
And also we'll have a little pocket of money for administrative costs, because there are some town hall people that have been helping to do things that are keeping track of their hours.
But you're thinking the application is only going to be $150,000?
No, I'm not. I was giving examples.
Oh.
I'm only giving you examples.
Yeah, because I think that's going to be low, yeah.
I know it is. I was going to be hopeful for you.
Okay. And so the two buckets, one of them, which is very large, could equal what would equal the total?
The total.
Okay.
That is our hope.
Yeah, because if we can frame that up in time for the May meeting, it could be on the agenda for that.
And I think they were going to
The application.
have it by June, right? Your plan was to
have it ready for you in June. That was what the committee charge was, to make recommendations in June. And the application process closes out May 1st. I think it's May 1st.
But you don't think the pools of money would be identified by
No, because,
fourth week of May?
Fourth week of May?
Town meeting budget?
Maybe. Right.
I mean, if you could do it, that saves another meeting.
Right. I'll keep you posted. We'll talk about that on Wednesday.
Good.
Good job on that committee, by the way. They're doing a great job.
Yep.
In a short period of time.
It's a great committee, and the people have dedicated a ton of time, of their time, to that committee. Okay.
Okay, item C, the Town of Mahague Landing. Yeah, we understand the frustration. We are scheduling an executive session meeting with the Board of Selectmen and Town Council to discuss our course of action. We realize that there have been progressive things going on, and I think this is a bad situation. We were hoping that we could come up with some sort of a common ground, but I think at this point it seems as if the landowners adjacent are just going ahead and doing whatever they feel they want, and so I think we need to get guidance and proceed because it just seems like we're not having any productive conversations, and they're putting their personal assets on our property, and I think we'll have a different outcome here. So I think we're looking at the 14th for different schedules, and then we'll have a plan, I hope, at that point to respond.
And will we be able to come out of that executive session and vote that night?
I hope so.
And are we inviting anyone to that executive session?
At this point, it's the Selectmen and the Town Council, but we could talk about any other persons to be part of it, but I think we don't want to have a big group there. But
I agree that we may not want a big group, but I definitely think there should be some resident viewpoint at the table.
Well, we can ask council how they think about it, because it's starting a legal type of process, just having the executive session with the lawyer. So I want to make sure we're around.
Okay. So you'll check with Jack and Michael?
Yeah.
Okay.
Turning to new business, I have the Public Works contract, which has been signed by the Public Works Union President along with the AFSCME representative. So this has been concluded. Would you all like me to get this to you so you can look through it?
I would love to look through it.
There were a number of points. Most of the material things are the same, but we, other than salaries and so forth, we didn't change a tremendous amount of things. The next item is the Board of Selectmen meeting along with Harbor Commission and Open Space to have a conversation about 36-1 Button Ball. We have that scheduled for the 7th at 5 o'clock, and I guess we're going to have each commission put their own agenda, just because if we have more than a quorum for any board or commission, you need to have a meeting. So that I put the Selectmen agenda out, and we're also going to ask to have a representative from the Black Hawk Club, because they own the property there as well. So that will be that'll be at 5 o'clock on the 7th. Let's see, Smith's Neck. I've had a conversation with people from Yukon Connecticut Transportation Institute about speed. I guess they call them speed humps down in Florida. They call them speed tables, I think. But on Smith's Neck Road, we have the boat launch at the end of the road, which attracts a lot of people with boats and trailers, and we've been getting feedback for a year or two that a lot of these boats and trailers go over the speed limit, and it seems it's unnerving to the pedestrians trying to walk down the side of the road. And so I checked with a safety circuit rider, and she gave me information on the speed hump. I think by virtue of the fact that this is a 25-mile-an-hour road, that we can do this. We will get a petition, a statement from a lot of the adjacent owners to say that they are in favor of this. These would be probably they're probably something of a rubber nature that would be secured to the road. There would need to be a sign at the beginning, toward the beginning of the road, warning people that there'd be the speed humps, and then at the actual device there would be signage saying, here it is, both ways. These would be temporary for the season, Memorial Day type of thing, and the owners, property owners, have agreed to purchase the devices so that they would have us install them, but they would be your typical catalog type of thing. I'm told they're like Legos. They sort of fit together depending on the width of the road that you need to cover. They can be customized for that, and they can be put out, removed in the fall, and it should work pretty well. So this is something that I've talked with Ed Adante about, and they're not going to be nearly as abrupt as the ones you find in the beach areas that are just big mounds. They give you a jolt. I think they're shaped, and hopefully I think they can be designed so that if you're going too fast, you get a bigger jump. You get a bigger bump than if you go.
How do they look? Good. They smell great.
If you could please mute yourselves on the phone. So that's what we have planned for that.
So, Jim, the only expense to the town then is going to be signage. We will have to put up the sign.
Signage, and I imagine our public works would put them in and take them out, and we'd probably store them.
And we'll be storing them?
Yeah. So if the road is, say, 25 feet wide or something, you would probably go just shy of the edge of the road, and then whether you need anything on the very edge, I know some of the beaches, they put a rock, and I asked the representative at the Yukon place there, I said, well, is that a liability? And she said, well, it's not on the road, so we'd have to see there. But I know sometimes people tend to deviate around it if there's a space to get your right tire out of the way. But if there's a sign there, signposts might serve as keeping people from going over the grass and so forth.
Does Smith Neck, do they have like an association, or they just, how many homeowners agreed to it?
I think she has been in contact with probably a majority, if not almost all of the neighbors, to say, do you favor having this device? And the answer is yes.
I think we should see.
Yeah, if she could get a petition or just a list of everyone who agrees, and or they can come to another meeting, and we'll just put them in if half of them say no. I mean, most of them are there year round, right? Down the area, or are they?
Yeah.
Might be a few seasonals, but I do think that it's really important that we know that the majority of the road is, first of all, the entire road is aware of it.
Yeah.
Because you know you're going to get a phone call the first morning they go in from someone who said, I wasn't told about this.
Right. Well, there could be a mailing, but the first one would likely not be right down the hill from the intersection.
Right.
It'd be, and she said, don't put them on a corner, a curb.
Right.
So I don't know. I'd have to go down and, work with the lady who's been very instrumental in trying to get this done. So I'm sure we can get the list of the owners that are signed petitions. I think she did a petition before, and so she's willing to get an updated one. And of course, the people on the front end of the street wouldn't have much impact.
Yeah.
But I think it would be, oh gosh, you go past that Town Landing Road and then you get around a corner, and I think probably a couple of good straightaways would be the best.
Yeah. I think it's a good idea.
Yeah.
And there's just going to be 2 full-length ones across, well, they'll
Yeah.
probably be in sections, but...
Right.
Okay. And then, okay.
Be secured with fasteners to the road.
So then does Ed have to go in every fall and fill the holes? Because I would have
You take a little of that
tar.
macadam material and
Okay.
just push it in the hole.
Okay.
Point of Woods. Last year, Point of Woods requested we allow or approve having them have a police patrol. Matt, you were involved in that.
Yep.
And last year we charged the private duty rate, and if the resident trooper does it, it's a different rate for the trooper. And we have a $25 a day per diem for the vehicle. Last year we took pity on them and did not impose the $25. Now the shifts last year were Thursday, Friday, and Saturday evenings with extra shifts at the discretion of the Point of Woods and availability of police coverage. Mm-hmm. So it would be, was it, how long were the shifts?
Well, I know they talked about, there were 8 hours, and it's a long time. I thought there was talk this year of cutting down to 6, just to be more flexible. And I know, it was either like 5 to 11 or 6 to 12, depending on the day or the week or whatever, but before it was 5 to 1 a.m., and that's a long shift in that area. So
not much going on.
Yeah. We didn't think that was cost effective. And I know the PD's detail rate's going up July 1st, so I don't know if that's what they agreed to, 6 hours or not. But
Nicole gave me the rate, and it's the same for our officers as it was last year.
Right, but what the officer gets paid out of that number will change, so the town will get less.
So we should consider...
So I think my recommendation, I was doing the numbers, is before it was $82 an hour, times the 8 hours was $656 a day they were paying. And then if it goes to 6 hours, it's $82 an hour times 6, it's $492 an hour. And then add that 75, which is 25 a day, or add the 25, excuse me. Then there's still like 150. We didn't charge them for the car before, but now there's still 150 less than they were before. And I'm just afraid that we're going to sell ourselves short a little bit in that, because some of that funding does go into, a capital fund for any emergencies of equipment and stuff like that, and we have used it recently.
Yeah.
So I think they're still getting a good deal. I just don't want us to have a problem in the future, that's all.
So what would you recommend?
I don't know if they agreed to the 6. Did they agree to 6 hours, or I would recommend.
They didn't specify the hours. Here it just has the hourly rate.
Yeah.
And it talks about shifts will be scheduled. It doesn't say how long the shifts are in the agreement.
I thought, when I talked to Trooper Weber, he had said they agreed to 6-hour shifts just because we didn't think it was really effective to work past a certain time up there. Just usually you catch stuff early, and then you kind of keep things quiet down there. So I would recommend that we charge them the normal HCP rate for 6 hours, and then also charge them the $25 a day for the car. Just they're still coming in what they paid last year for 8-hour shifts without the car rate.
Yeah. Well, also, fuel's a good bit more than it was last year, and so.
Right. And I know the police are getting a raise for their overtime detail, so that's a less chunk for the town. So I think.
Well, I think the private duty rate is a fixed.
Right. But out of that rate, what they pay the officers changes. Like right now, I think it's high 60s or whatever, and then they get their union contract raises for that rate goes up, I think.
I think it says you get $75 an hour for the private duty.
I think right now it's 70. It's going to 75
If it's
July
a
1st.
nonprofit, it's time and a half.
Right.
So basically, we're
It's a
making
fixed,
$7 an hour.
it's fixed in the contract.
Correct.
Right.
So I don't think it is subject to OT or, fluctuating.
No. I mean, I know the rate is going to go up. So I think based on those two things, we should add the cost of gas, like you said. I think we should add the car fee in there. And they're still almost $150 less than what they would pay for an 8-hour shift without the car fee last year.
Right. So basically, Tim, you could take care of notifying them that we have to charge them for the car fee this year?
Yeah, and I guess they can specify the duration of the shift.
Yeah.
Here it just said shift without saying how long it is.
Yeah.
So if between the trooper telling them the extra 2 hours really isn't doing much.
Right. And I think too, some of it was weather permitting. We weren't out there in a torrential rainstorm because it wasn't really cost effective.
And they're aware it is a 4-hour minimum, so they.
So Matt, if someone's on and let's say they're scheduled for a 6-hour shift, and there is a torrential downpour, they have to pay you for the 4, but can they release you at 4 and say you can just go home? Okay.
I mean, we're pretty flexible. I mean, Charles Tettenbaum is the one who we use our contact, and I've had plenty of conversations with him. It's like, really, I appreciate you having me out here, but I don't think this is cost effective or whatever. And we worked good together. Yeah. Well, not just all of us.
Yeah.
And we have, we might have some additional help, I guess.
Yeah.
So that'll be good because.
Correct.
It's a 3-day commitment every week.
Right.
Yeah. Okay, so
You'll write down.
We'll do the 82 and the car. Okay.
Sounds good.
And let's see.
Do we need to vote on that, Tim?
Yeah, that probably is a good idea. Okay, so we could entertain a motion to supply the private duty services to Point of Woods as outlined in the agreement at a rate of $82 for the local police and the prevailing state police hourly rate, and that the per diem charge for the vehicle would be applied at $25 per diem per day.
So moved.
Do you want to add? I'll second, but I think we should amend it to say it's a minimum of 4 hours.
They know that. It's right in the contract that they signed. Yeah.
Right.
It's
Got it.
Yeah.
Okay.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Facility Director Info Tech job posting. Am I going to have your assistance on that one?
I have. So I contacted Lime Public Schools because, of course, their facilities director also serves as Director of Facilities and Technology. So they sent job descriptions over from their technology group. So there are 3 of those for us to consider. And then there's also, I contacted CCM, and they sent me, I think about 10 or 12 towns that have IT people.
Combo?
Not all combos, but I think that there is strong language here, a couple of things that we should pick out. I don't think we want to go through these and discuss these perhaps today, but I think what I'd like to do is copy these. I've highlighted what I liked on each one, and I thought if I made copies for you and Matt tomorrow and put them in your box, you could review them, and maybe we pick out 4 or 5 to add. That a strong candidate for our facilities director would also include people with these skills.
I agree.
And then we get it posted as quickly as possible because Phil Parkchuk is retiring, and we really need to have somebody on board July 1st. And I would strongly hope that we would let somebody come in like a week before and sort of work, or 2 weeks before, and shadow with Phil and have him get them acclimated to the town and there's 17 buildings that he handles, so I think it would be, so we have like 6 weeks to advertise and interview. And I think we should try to get this out by next Monday at the latest, get it posted.
Yeah, okay. We can push it through.
We can put that through CC. Can you post through CCM?
I don't know whether they have that, where they put something out, maybe cost too, Council of Small Towns.
Mm-hmm.
Because that they cater to our size town. We could explore it.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I'll get this to you tomorrow morning.
Thank you.
Yep.
And finally, the Estuary Transit District submitted a request to us. They're currently in the process of applying for a state matching grant for the elderly and the disabled demand responsive transportation municipal grant, 2 different grants. Part of this application process requires 2 letters from each municipality within the transit district. One is maintenance and effort certification, and the other is the assignment certification, which they have provided the form. In addition, each municipality must provide the district with the budget documents showing the budget request for the transportation services for next year. The proposed budgets and/or budget requests are acceptable. So we have their request, which they submitted to us, and then we also have the minutes of the Board of Finance where their request was recommended for approval. It's a standard thing that happens annually, so it's nothing too remarkable.
So we just need to make a motion for you to sign the grant.
Sign the paperwork for the Estuary Transit District.
So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Do we have other business beyond this?
I just want to bring up, I know that we have I think it was last year, we put in for a part-time HR person, but it was to be considered in the budget, and I believe it was put in.
Yep.
But up since July 1st, we have spent $79,359 in HR fees between our attorney and also the consulting firms that did work for us. And I just think that we talk a lot that we hate to bring people on board because there's an expense to having staff. But if we had a half-time person, I think that they could be handling some of these smaller HR complaints and some of the minor investigations. And I also think with FMLA issues or contractual issues, they would be a huge benefit to us instead of keep going out to individual consultants or attorneys. And I think we should really do some research on this and get something posted on that as well if we can find a half-time person, maybe even somebody we could share with another small town, or maybe there's someone in a small town. There was a couple of, we let somebody go and do some work for up in Lyme. Was it the tax person?
In Lyme?
Remember somebody asked if they could do some work for one of the small towns for a couple of hours a week to help them
There
over.
was somebody mentioned by
From our town.
somebody at the senior center. that was suggesting a person.
No, I think that was last year.
We voted right when we came on board that somebody in our town hall was going to help out while...
Oh, that's assessor.
Okay, so I'm just saying that maybe we could share with another town.
Yeah, and I could check with Sam Gold at the COG to find out if there's any further discussion, because they were thinking of having somebody at COG, which then could be used by the member towns on probably a fee basis. That would be another possibility.
Is there a job description already created, do we know?
For HR?
Yes.
No, but I could have CCM send us up.
If you want to work on that IT one, I can work on the HR one for you, and we can...
And I can tell you the name of the person, his name is Max, and he is a whiz at research on job descriptions at CCM, and I will send that to you as well.
Great. Okay. Anything else for the cause?
All good.
I'm good.
All right, then we entertain a motion to adjourn at 6:51.
Second?
Second, all in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you.